The St. Cloud State men's hockey team continues to rank number 1 as the regular season has now come to an end. The Huskies finished with a 27-4-3 overall record and are set to take on Miami this weekend in the first round of the NCHC playoffs for the second year in a row. Welcome into your Husky Hockey Weekend preview. I'm your host, Madison Golden, and joining me today is Mick Hatten from therinklive.com. Thanks for joining us again, Mick.
Thank you for having me.
And before we touch on this series against Miami, let's talk a little bit about the Duluth series, many of which called it a preview of the national championship game. What did you think of St. Cloud State's performance as they got the sweep over Duluth?
Well, I think one of the big things that pops out at you is they got behind by 2 goals in one of the games and were able to kind of rally back against the team that, generally speaking, you don't rally against. So that was very impressive for St. Cloud State. 2 very hard-fought games and really 2 teams that weren't playing for a whole heck of a lot this past weekend. That shows you, though, how much the pride in this rivalry has kind of gone on between St. Cloud State and Minnesota Duluth over the last few seasons. Could it be a preview of the national championship game? Yeah, it definitely could be. It could also be a preview for the NCHC Frozen Face-Off Championship, so these 2 teams could see each other a couple more times yet.
Absolutely, and then touching a little bit on the freshman class, Nick Purbeck's game winner in OT on Friday. What did you see out of him and the rest of the class?
Well, I think when you look at Nick Purbeck's, you're looking at a big guy that can skate very well, has tremendous confidence when he's got the puck on his stick, and he's had some stretches like all freshmen do where he maybe wasn't playing as well or not playing with as much confidence. That's not the case right now. He played very well. He had 2 goals in that game, including the game winner. A little controversy there, but by the letter of the law, that was a good goal. He's a guy that was drafted, but in the NHL, and you can see why. He's got an awful lot of talent. 20 points on the season, and plus 21. Any freshman in the country will take those numbers.
And then switching things over to the senior class, as it was senior night on Saturday, how big of an impact has this class had on this Huskies team?
Well, it's hard to really kind of overstate, I guess, what this particular senior class has meant to this program. They've won back-to-back conference regular season championships. They've never done that before at the Division I level. Their freshman season, they also won the NCHC Frozen Face-Off. They were ranked at the end of number 1 at the end of last season. They're going to be ranked at number 1 at the end of this season. Guys that have played just a ton of hockey games. I mean, when you look down the list, Jimmy Schultz played 151 games, Patrick Newell 140, Robbie Jackson 144, Jacob Benson 133, John Lazat 142 games. That is a ton of hockey, and it just shows how reliable those guys have been and how consistent they've been, which is saying something in this day and age.
Absolutely. And who do you kind of foresee maybe stepping up to fill those roles next season?
Well, I think you look at guys that are going to be coming back that have pretty good track records to this point. Blake Lazat, is a guy that has had 2 very good seasons for St. Cloud State. He's going to obviously be an upperclassman next season. Going to have to take things up to another level. Jack Ashan has another season of eligibility left. From an offensive standpoint, Ashan and Purbeck from on the blue line are going to probably have to, maybe even take their games up another notch for them back there. And then David Rennick in goal is going to have to be a big leader for them next season as well.
Absolutely. And then switching things over to this weekend series, taking on Miami for the second year in a row in the first round of the NCHC playoffs. Last year, Miami pushed it to Game 3. What are you expecting to see out of this series?
For whatever reason, Miami just gives St. Cloud State fits. They've only been tied by 2 teams this season, and Miami did it twice to St. Cloud State earlier this season. They're a team that is going to play very hard. St. Cloud State wants to stay off the boards against this team. They don't want to get into a game where they're getting into kind of the muck with Miami. They want to get out and skate, and they want to because they're a quicker team and they're more talented than Miami. The other thing with a team like Miami, who's coming in struggling so much, you don't want to give them a lot of hope. The one thing that Miami does do well, when they score first, they're 10-2. Now, for a team that's that far under 500, that tells you something. So St. Cloud State wants to get ahead of them and not give them any hope.
Absolutely, and you touched a little bit on David Rennick. how key does he, or how crucial does he need to perform in these next few games, especially during playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, David has had a very solid season. I think David would tell you that it hasn't been a perfect season for him. No, he's been a little bit up and down. He'd like to be a little bit more consistent and get hot right now. I mean, this is the perfect time for him to kind of crank things up a notch. They gave him the night off on Saturday against UMD. That typically has given him kind of a fresh outlook when he has kind of had a night off like that. We'll see if that comes to fruition again here this weekend.
Absolutely, and then Frozen Face-Off next weekend down in the cities at the XL Energy Center. Who do you think is going to get there?
Well, I think the top two teams, in the conference are probably overwhelming favorites. When you look at the matchups, St. Cloud State, I think, against Miami. Even if Miami is able to pull out a game, I think St. Cloud State in a 3-game series playing at home, it's hard to bet against the top-ranked team in the country in that instance. UMD is the defending national champs. They've got an Omaha team that, it's not that Omaha, can't come in there and give them some trouble, but I just can't see UMD losing in a 3-game series at home. But you look at the other two series, and that's where it gets really a lot different. North Dakota is playing for its season this weekend at Denver. They have not. I think the stat I saw is Denver has not lost to UND at home since 2003. So it's a massive undertaking for North Dakota. For whatever reason, they have not played overwhelmingly well at Denver. And this is a very good Denver team. So that's going to be interesting. I think in a 3-game series, I probably take Denver. I think Denver's got a little bit more scoring depth than North Dakota, and they're playing at home. Colorado College at Western Michigan is a fascinating matchup. Colorado College forced Denver down to the number 4 seed in this tournament to play North Dakota by sweeping them at the end of the regular season. Colorado College might, outside of St. Cloud State, I mean, they might be the hottest team in the NCHC right now. I'm going to take Colorado College in a little bit of an upset there to move on to the Frozen Face-Off.
And who do you think is going to take the whole thing?
Oh, jeez, Madison. I'll take St. Cloud State over UMD. But it's going to be an absolute war again when those two teams play again.
Definitely a battle of talent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Mick.
Thanks for having me.
Tickets for this weekend's games will be available on SCSUtickets.com. Friday night's game is set for 7 p.m. and will be broadcasted on Fox Sports North. Saturday night's game will be set for 6 p.m. and will be broadcasted on Fox Sports North Plus. If needed, Game 3 on Sunday will be broadcasted on the SCSU Sports Network. And as always, you can listen to 96.7 FM The River with Husky hockey voice Jim Erickson on the call. Thank you for watching this week's edition of the Weekend Preview.